let's go ahead and get started. Okay? First things first, we're going to watch Tim the Tack Man. Tim the Tap Man. Okay? And he is. Hold on one sec. All right, cool. Will probably move me around here. Where is my video capture? All right, cool, cool, cool. So let's see. Let's see. That should be okay. So we're gonna react to Tim the Tapman talking about Xdefiant dying. All right, I did enjoy Xdefiant when it came out. The problem is they didn't have enough updates, and then they basically shut down. So let's react and let's give my thoughts. I am gonna be eating, so I'll probably mute my mic, but that'll be good for you guys because then you could just watch the video. So let's go ahead and get this started.
What happened to Xdefiant? I heard it's no longer playable. They shut down, brother. That's a damn shame, man. Because honestly, Xdefiant, in my opinion, for what that game was, that style of game, I thought it was pretty well done. I can't even lie. I mean, me personally, I've been saying this for a minute now. Like, for me personally, these kind of like arena shooter, not even arena shooter. What is that style of game? The spawn die. Like, here's what I'll say. Me personally, I'll speak for myself, not anyone else. I do not enjoy streaming and playing these spawn die games. Does that make sense? Now I understand.
That is because, especially with Call of Duty, they have lost the formula on to make a really good 6v6 arena shooter. They went away from the actual game mode that you're playing in itself, right? Because he's gonna probably use an example of like TDM. Well, yeah, of course, TDM is a simple, boring game mode where you spawn in and you run at each other and you die. We have other game modes, domination, capture the flag, search and destroy, where if they would just develop the game around those game modes, we would have a much better 6v6 product.
That when you're in like Warzone or in a battle royale, right? You do spawn and you do die, but there's just more of a story. It's like, it's not just like I'm spawn dying on Nuketown over and over. And even a game like Counter-Strike, I'll give you Counter-Strike, right? Counter-Strike, you technically do spawn and then die, but it's a lot more tactical. And Rainbow Six. The thing I'm talking about is like this.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, right? Is he's talking about better game modes, right? 6v6, Rainbow Six Siege, and Counter Strike are about the game mode, right? It's about you. The all the gear and equipment focus around the game mode. Whereas in Call of Duty, it's about getting your camos for your weapons. They want you to use every different weapon and whatever, rather than, hey, here is all this gear and equipment and weapons to help you play this game mode. They don't do that. You know what I mean?
What's it called, chat? Is it an arena? What about Rivals? I'd say Rivals are still a story.
7 and 8 figure business owners, give me 4 minutes of your time and I'll show they can absolutely.
There's still like this storyline of you pushing the payload. You're getting from point A to point B. It's more team based. I'm talking me just spawning over and over again like a TDM in Nuketown. In a deathmatch. Yeah, I don't like those. I don't like streaming those games. I don't like playing those games. So like,
Stand by. All right, sorry guys. Work-related stuff, you know, because I still work a 9 to 5. Let's get back to this.
But I'll say this: I thought Xdefiant was a good version of that game. Which, if anything, that tells me that those style of games may be going away, bro. I don't know. If Xdefiant...
No. Xdefiant did not have enough content. It was solid, but it was not competing at the time with Call of Duty. There's just not enough content in the game for it to compete, right? And I'm pretty sure that at that time, a lot of people were asking for other stuff in the sense of like kill streaks, you know, and just a lot of life improvement stuff that they just didn't have. So I don't think Tim, you know, as much as I respect all these big streamers, they did not play enough of the game to understand that. But there was a lot of things that game was missing at launch that we needed and we were asking for.
Like, if that game, which was very well polished, had good updates, had great gunplay, if that style of game, if that level of caliber of that style of game flopped, that tells me that style of game is dying. I've been playing that style of game since before a lot of you were even born, you know? I would say, what was the first game that you could have played like that? Technically, was it 007? Was it GoldenEye? That's the first one I remember, where it's like you respawn and then die, right? It's the same concept at the end of the day. You know, it's like in 007 GoldenEye, I'd run around an arena or like a area, and I would get into a fight with someone, and or like a robot, and I'd die and then respawn. So like, what was, let's get the numbers out. August 23rd, 1997. I was 7 years old playing that game. I'm 35 now, so that is, quick math, 28 years I've been playing those style of games. So the reality is, man, after 28 years, I don't like playing those games, bro. Like, I don't enjoy playing like the arena. Bro, chat, I used to play a game when I was growing up called Nerf Arena Blast. You guys ever heard of that game? It was basically...
I got this car recently, and look how much I was... Now look...
Basically Quake for kids, which was a smart idea, because you had Quake, which was this dope game. I was too young to play Quake or like Unreal Tournament. You guys remember those games back in the day? So like Nerf Arena Blast was more for kids, and it was the same concept as like a Quake or even Unreal Tournament. And you're just jumping around, all this crazy movement, but you had Nerf guns. Damn, Unk. Listen, bro, listen, I'm telling you, man, like, if it sucks that Xdefiant flopped. And I gotta say something too, man. There's something with the gaming community now. I don't know what it is with us, but it's like a lot of people just want shit to fail. I don't know why that is. But I feel like I just see, like, I saw people commenting on Xdefiant flopping, and people were like happy that the game didn't do well. And I'm like, why are we hoping that games, like, it's good for the gaming industry if good games keep coming out and keep thriving, but the gaming community is trying to push everything down. It's so weird. You can even say Marvel. Like, people are literally sitting there foaming at the mouth, kind of just like smiling that Marvel's numbers have decreased, which is normal. Obviously, there was a huge boom for that game, so it's not going to be able to maintain 500,000-600,000 people, right? There's not many games out there that maintain that, but then people...
I think at the end of the day, a lot of people have their favorite games, and they don't want other games to come out and take the energy away, right? A lot of people, let's use Call of Duty, for example, a lot of people play Call of Duty the first week or two because it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. But as soon as the game starts to die off, it loses its lust. It loses it gets out of the honeymoon phase. And so at that point, when people start leaving, like, let's say I'm playing and all my friends leave, you don't want to really play the game anymore because none of your friends are playing it. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's like you're hitting their sweet spot, right? Like, they have this favorite game and they want to keep playing, but then everybody keeps leaving. So I don't necessarily think people they want the game to fail, but they're definitely like challenging the game to stay successful because they don't want to lose their friends to other games, you know?
People are just sitting there like almost praying for the downfall of Marvel. It's so bizarre to me, bro. I don't understand why Why would you be someone in the gaming community and you don't want to see games all succeed, bro? Because at the end of the day, if these developers keep making... Xdefiant was a massive game with a massive developer behind it, and it failed. That's a bad sign. This isn't a small studio trying to produce a game, right? So then...
That's because Ubisoft sucks. That is because Ubisoft sucks. Not because the game was bad or the game flopped. Ubisoft sucks. So don't get it twisted. Ubisoft sucks and isn't a good publisher.
Think about that. Like, you have these smaller studios that are also trying to make games, but then you see a heavy hitter like Xdefiant not be able to succeed. That's a red flag for the gaming community, bro. And I'm kind of speaking in the sense of, like, I don't know what it is about the gaming community wanting to see games fail, but at the end of the day, all that's going to do is hurt the games and hurt gaming that we all love. Such a weird thing, bro. It's because Xdefiant was ass. No, Malachi, for one, I'm not going to sit here and listen to any kind of judgment you have based on decisions you make, right? For one, it's like, and Xdefiant wasn't a bad game. It was a well-polished, well thought out, ranked mode, arena shooter, deathmatch game, and it still failed. So that makes me ask the question, like, what do people, like, what game, if Xdefiant came out as a great gunplay FPS game, people said it was ass. Like, what game, bro, can I tell you something? I would hate to be a game developer. I'd hate to be a game developer for the gaming industry because y'all complain about fucking everything. Like, truthfully. I mean, myself included, I'm in there. I complain about shit. In my defense, though, I more so complain about shit because I'm in it, like, you know, I complain about the anti-cheat in Warzone. And to be clear, the anti-cheat in Warzone is fucking dog water. And the reason I complain about that is because if the anti-cheat in Warzone was a little more well-addressed, I think that Verdansk would be in a pretty solid spot. That's all I'm saying. So that's more like that's like me complaining, like, I want the best for Warzone. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, you see people complaining about, or just like kicking Xdefiant, saying it's ass, and it's just like, what was ass about it? I can't think anything ass about that game. I did some sponsored streams for them. Like I said, arena shooters are not necessarily my wheelhouse for what I want to sit there and play. But Xdefiant, when I did those sponsored streams, they went by pretty quick. In the sense of, like, I enjoyed the time that I had doing the sponsor stream in a game mode that I don't typically love. Xdefiant looked great, but it just wasn't anything new.
To his point, you see what he said? He did it in the sponsored streams, which means he didn't play the game when there wasn't a sponsor. So we're sitting here talking about how games are dying out. It's because it has no traction. You don't have the biggest streamers playing the game, and they're going, and whether they want to believe it or not, they have a really big effect on the consumer. If big streamers are playing games, the consumers will follow. If they don't play the game, then that game will eventually die out, or, you know, it will plateau and fall off. It won't die necessarily, but there won't be this big amount of, you know, player base there. Because if I'm a fan of timthetatman and I'm watching timthetatman and he's playing Marvel Rivals, well, then I'm going to go play Marvel Rivals because that's what he's playing. Right? You want to play with your friends. You want to engage with the community that you're watching and hanging out with. Right? If my friends get off work and they're like, "Yo, hop off COD," I'm gonna hop on COD. But if I want to play Fortnite and they're like, "Yo, hop on COD," well, I'm not gonna play Fortnite. You know, like, I'm gonna go play COD. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to play with my friends. So it's the same idea.
You guys think of any other deathmatch arena shooter that had abilities, classes? I guess you can technically say Call of Duty, what was it, Black Ops 3 maybe, kind of, sort of. I would say Xdefiant was different, though. It's because indie games and small devs put more passion into their games, and all of these AAA companies just kind of pump out money and less about the customer. That was a dono from Benji. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you in the sense of like gaming has become very commercialized. Is that the word I would use? Like everything's about money now, right? But I think that that's just kind of the boom of technology in life, right? Like every company's goal is to like make money, right? Maybe honorable mention, dude, Arizona iced tea, still 99 cents. It's actually insane. What an insane business model. I don't know, bro. It's just like, it's very Titanfall, biggest disgrace to gaming, letting that franchise die. Titanfall was fucking sick. When Titanfall first came out, I was like, this game is dope. Everything about it. I remember wall running and sniping someone mid wall run. I was like, what the fuck? This game is awesome.
But then doesn't play the game. That's my point. He doesn't play the game. So we talk about how games don't stay alive. It's because nobody goes and plays the game. You're not sitting there streaming Titanfall. You're streaming Call of Duty. You're streaming Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? So I hate to say it, and I like as a I guess a streamer now, whatever. Like at the end of the day, like streamers have a big impact on who's playing what games. As much as they want to believe it or not, the reason why people play Rainbow Six Siege is because of Jinxie. Okay? If he wasn't playing Rainbow Six Siege, ain't nobody playing Rainbow Six Siege. Keep it a buck.
But once again, that's an example of another game that like people were almost preying on its downfall. And that's kind of how I got on this rant, because people were talking about Xdefiant. I didn't mean to sit here and yap for a little while, but it's like people, I don't understand why the gaming community just sits here and just like preys on the downfall or praises a game like Xdefiant flopping, when all that's going to do is hurt the gaming community, bro. Because it's like, A, you have a massive developer that can't drop a game right, like, not drop a game right. You have a massive developer that made Xdefiant, right? And a game like that still flops in 2025. That's a damn bad sign, bro. That's all I'm saying. I mean, the reality is this, man. The gaming that we all grew up playing that's gone, bro. I mean, is it safe to say that? I think it's safe to say that. I say we grew up playing because I'm 35, right? The gaming that we grew up playing, that age that we were in, is gone. That ain't going to be a thing ever again. And you can say that's nostalgia, and you can say that's whatever. But all I'm saying is, being someone that is 35, growing up watching video games develop, the path that we grew up on, those old games, those are gone.
I want to show you guys something. Let's pause this real quick. I want to show you guys something. Right? Because we're talking about, like, no one wants to play 6v6 arena shooter.
Have been perfect in this tournament. 5 points.
I want y'all guys to listen to this. Listen to the crowd of watching a 6v6 COD champion. Well, I want you to listen to this. Right? Listen to this.
Court to office, court to office. You might hit the back left. I have your back left, bro. That's him. Another one deep left.
One more P3 court. I'm popping up. Stop popping up. Help front. Help.
Let me zoom. Let me go. Because I know it's a little bit longer. Let's go back just a little bit. Right here. All right, so I want you guys to watch this, right? People saying that 6v6 arena shooters are dead. We're going to watch this just past 2 days ago, yesterday, COD champion winner, Optic. Watch the crowd. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the atmosphere.
They got it. The team kills are rolling through. They're going to get it done. 10 seconds for the championship. Hook fighting in. Neptune on the contest. Do we buy enough time?
And this is 4v4, by the way.
Dachi steps up. Brought down. Rotation is on. Optic are there. And they're spawning there too. Every single player here in Shotzi to seal the deal. Final fight. Shotzi's there. Nasty dives. It's history in the making. Back to back. World champions. Optic Texas.
So you're telling me that's dead? 6v6 is dead? You know why it's dead? It's two reasons. One, the streamers don't play it, right? But the second and most important reason is if you watch that, each kill is important. The game mode is important. They're not trying to get camos. They're not trying to use funky setups. They're trying to win the match. And it's more important, which adds value to the game, which makes it much more bigger and enjoyable to watch. Whereas when you watch people stream the game now, they just run around with every weapon and try to get camos. That's why 6v6 is dead. It's mainly the developers making the games for this cash grab bullshit rather than making the game for that experience. And that is what we need to see. Not saying that it needs to be that fully competitive, but bring the focus back to winning the match itself. Fuck camos. I give a fuck about camos. Camos should be a side thing that you earn along the way as you're playing the game. Not let me go grind for it in the first month and then dip out. And let me go play Warzone. Jeez. Alright, back to it. Sorry, rant over. Rant motherfucking over. Hova. Alright, let's go back. I just had to show that.
Is just gone. That's just the reality. Maybe GTA 6 will save us. Who knows, boys? Imagine GTA 6 comes out and people are praying that game fails. That'd be the end of gaming. If Grand Theft Auto 6 drops and people are hoping A, GTA 6 flops, or B, GTA 6 fails, I think we may be cooked, bro. I'm gonna have to start doing some golf vlog. I'm gonna have to be a golf content creator or something. 25 from 8 on, don't let these 12-year-olds call you unk when games like Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament were some of the greatest games ever created. These kids don't know about the odd job hand slap. Listen, man, gaming, I feel bad when I look at the younger generation in the sense of like the games they're getting in the time. And I don't know how to put this into words, bro. Like what I'm trying to say. I really don't. And I'm not going to sit here and yap again. But being someone that was born in 1990 and seeing the development of the internet and people getting connected on the internet, right? And I'm talking dial up, hang up the phone, I'm on the computer, to the games that were created in the 90s, right? I vividly remember sitting there going from my Super Nintendo. I played my Super Nintendo, and my dad and my mom bought me an N64 when it first came out for my birthday. And I remember sitting there playing Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium, looking at those graphics and thinking to myself, oh my God, this is insane. I remember that moment as a kid looking at because you got to remember, I went from like Turtles in Time, right? Turtles in Time, Super Nintendo style of game to now I'm like in Pokemon Stadium and I can see my Blastoise, or I'm taking pictures in my Pokemon Snap moving around, right? So like, I remember that jump, and that was such a, and you look back at it now and it's like those graphics look terrible, right? But at the time, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then you can keep going, bro. I vividly remember I think it was the first Doom or the second Doom that came out. I want to say it was like 2002. I walked into a Best Buy and I went to one of their nice computers where they showcased games, which is a thing they used to do back in the day. And I remember looking in the bathroom of Doom, and there was a mirror, and I saw my reflection in the mirror, like me. And I was like, what the fuck? You know? And a lot of people, like I said, you look at that now, you're like, okay, unk. But it's like, dude, the point I'm making is those were such big jumps in gaming, right, that I experienced multiple times growing up. And now the games that are being created and everything being created now, that jump isn't happening anymore. There's no more jump in the sense of like, we've developed gaming so much now and it's so graphically there. It's nothing. There's no wow factor. Does that make sense? Me personally, I haven't played a game recently and had that wow factor that I had growing up. You got to keep in mind, like those games, here I am ranting again about the fucking 90s. Maybe I really am unk. But it's like you look back at the games that were created, and you talk about, I mean, I still vividly remember playing Counter-Strike 1.6 when I was 13 years old, and I still love Counter-Strike to this day. That is also why I want to say I think Counter-Strike is still one of the greatest games out there, because it didn't get away from what made it great. What I played in Counter-Strike 1.6 on Aztec, right, which is a map that a lot of you probably don't even know, counter-terrorists versus terrorists, same core. It's the same core of the game that we have now in 2025, and you just had a tournament that had millions and millions of views for that game years later. That's because they didn't get away from it. But it's like those games that were created back in the day, it's like the game came out, there weren't these deals.
Thinking about going solar, but not sure whether it's worth it for your
There weren't these updates, right? You went and you bought Halo, and you had Halo, and you played Halo. It was that simple. No battle pass, no nothing. You bought Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you got Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You bought Need for Speed Underground, you got Need for Speed Underground, bro.
I mean, at this point, I think that's the problem with games in general, right? Games don't come finished. And then you have to play the bare minimum of the game. Then you have to wait for every seasonal update to get more content. Whereas back in the day, you got the full pie, the full game at jump. And you would play that game forever. And then that's what it was. You didn't have to worry about missing content or hoping that they add stuff. They had it all there. And then they would just fix bugs and glitches here and there. That's kind of the bigger problem.
Like, the game was made complete, and you got it, and you paid for it, and you bought it, and that was it. I'll say this, man. I have a 6-year-old, you know, he has a lot of buddies. His buddies are all kind of just playing, like, iPad stuff, you know, just like iPad. They love iPads. Like, my son is 6 now. I remember when I was 6. Yeah, he is 6 now. I remember when I was 6, you know, I was loving video games in the sense of like sitting in front of a TV, but like they rarely do that now, unless it's literally, I mean, some kids I see play Fortnite, Roblox. I guess I'll say a lot of the kids that you know, my son is buddies with, they're more like iPad mobile game versus sitting in front of a console game. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know if that makes sense. At least for my like my son, that's what I see. Like they sit there, and some adults who have children here may kind of hear what I'm saying. It's like that's what that younger generation, like we have a Switch with Mario Kart, but they don't love playing that. They love sitting on their iPads and playing like Roblox and shit. That's what their gaming is right now. And so I'll try to get them to like play Mario Kart, and they don't want to play Mario Kart. And to me, I'm looking at it like, wow, you know, like when I was 6, bro, I was dialed in, man. I was playing Super Nintendo, that whole thing, man. I don't know, but like that is what I see a lot of my son's friends and my son playing video game wise. It's just like, you know, mobile, iPad stuff. He also loves Legos, by the way, which is awesome. Brew is a Lego fiend.
So, you know, just at the end of the day, right? Like, you know, so just at the end of the day, right? Like, I think that the reason why Xdefiant failed was because Ubisoft was not a good publisher to the game and didn't support them. And from the developer side, they just didn't have enough content in the game, and the updates were too far, you know, too far along in the process to sustain the players, you know. And so, again, I think that 6v6 shooters need to go back to being about the game. It's the game modes that are in the game. Make the maps and all the equipment, the weapons and perks around that game mode, so that way you're focusing on trying to win the game rather than just jump in and get camos. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and switch gears into